opportunities at the UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs and how civil society can best engage in these meetings. So thank you all very much for joining us today and for attending. My name is Jamie Bridge. I'm the chair of the Vienna NGO Committee, and I'm going to be moderating today's discussions alongside Mirella of UNODC. My own background is in harm reduction services, and I've also worked for the Global Fund in Geneva and currently work for the International Drug Policy Consortium that's based in London. But I'm here today as the chair, as I say, of the Vienna NGO Committee. And the VNGOC is a global committee of more than 250 civil society organisations from all around the world. And we work to support engagement with UN agencies in UN meetings related to drugs. We help to coordinate speaking opportunities, learning opportunities such as this one, and also the logistics of participation at UN meetings, particularly the UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs, the CND, which takes place in Vienna. You can find out a lot more about our work later in the webinar, and Matej from the VNGOC board, the deputy chair, will be presenting in more detail later. But you can also find out more at our website, vngoc.org, and on our social media, you just have to search for VNGOC. So before we start the webinar, just a quick reminder and some quick ground rules. There will be opportunities for questions and answers during the webinar, but please keep your microphone muted and your video turned off until you are invited to speak. This just helps to protect the audio, but also to protect the bandwidth of some of our participants. If you do have a question, please write it down in the chat box that you have on Microsoft Teams. My colleague Sarah will be monitoring the chat box and she will let us know what questions there are for people to answer. In case you have any technical difficulties, as a first step, we would recommend that you try logging off and then logging back on again. If you have any persisting problems, please contact Sarah, who is one of the participants on this webinar, Sarah Perker. This webinar is also being recorded, just so that you're all aware, and that's because we want to make it available online afterwards as well, so as many people as possible can watch the discussions. And we're also delivering the exact same webinar tomorrow morning. So if you're attending this one today, there's no need to also attend tomorrow morning. The reason that we're doing the same webinar twice is just to help our members and our colleagues from different time zones to be part of this discussion. But the content will be exactly the same as today. So we're really delighted to be working alongside UNODC's civil society team, as always, to host this webinar today. And to get us started, I'd like to hand the floor over to Mirella Dumafrahi, who is the team leader for the UNODC Civil Society Team, or CST, as we call it. So Mirella, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jamie. It's a pleasure to see you, even if it's online. We have to live with this reality, and until things gets better, and it will get better at some point. Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning for anyone who is following us from the other side of the world. Thank you all for participating. I am, as introduced by Jamie, my name is Mirella Dumafrahi. I'm heading the civil society team in UNODC, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. And our team, for those who don't know us, is really the main entry point into the organization for civil society engagement. We facilitate civil society participation in different intergovernmental meetings, including the Commission on Narcotic Drugs that most of you are familiar in. We provide training, workshop, and also engaging with the engaging civil society with the government, so that the participation in the policy dialogue happens at the best possible. I'm very pleased to be at this session, also because in 2016, I was at one day before the UNGAS in New York with Jamie and other of you launching the first version of this online platform, the NGO Marketplace. This marketplace has been upgraded more than one time because we want it to be your platform. We want you to be able to communicate easily on all the issues related to drug, and essentially we wanted also to have you and the background of all your organization present somewhere where also member states can check who works on which issues in which region or even in their own country, because it happens that they are not always aware about the work you do or your existence. So I think this platform has served the purpose over the year, and I'm very pleased that it was possible to revise it and have a newest version, which was sort of launched already in July, at least put online, but today is really the official launch. And thanks to the great work of Peter Galvash, who has developed this marketplace and also will show us through a video how you can take the opportunity to work even more through this platform. And I think there is a possibility to increase. I know that the numbers are over 200, but for instance, from the NGOs that registered today, only 53 are already on the NGO Marketplace. So please do, after this session, we really encourage you to apply online, and we will let you know. We will also provide you a link. I see some people asking for it. But meanwhile, I think it's very important to concentrate on what Peter will tell us, because it is really, he will show us how it works, and I really hope that you will use it. I take also the opportunity to thank our donor for providing the funding for this platform, and essentially the Russian Federation, who has contributed to this instrument. The floor is yours, Peter, I suppose.
Thank you, Mirella. I hope you can all hear me. So going by Jamie's advice, I will now turn the camera back on. And I will share with you a couple of slides which I have prepared for today's purpose. So they're coming through, and I hope you will be able to see it in a couple of seconds. So I just want to give a short introduction of what the marketplace is all about. And then, of course, I want to spend the bulk of today's presentation showing you how the marketplace actually works as in a live demonstration. If you would like to check out the system live, the marketplace live, you can visit the address mp.vngoc.org. That's how you can check it out live. You can even use your smartphone or your tablet to do it. So it's the system is very nicely compatible across many types of devices. And if you would, even beyond today's meeting, if you would like to send us some feedback or send us some further kind of questions or opinions that you might have, you can use one of these two email addresses, which I hope you can all see now. In the meantime, let me summarize what the marketplace is. So it is an online platform that is supposed to give non-government organizations that work specifically in the field of drug policy the opportunity to present their work, so what they're doing day by day, but also to exchange expertise and to raise certainly awareness about what they're doing, what kind of challenges they're facing, and of course, finally, most of all, just to network and to communicate, to find each other, to figure out who else in their particular region or in their country is doing similar work, maybe requiring some services or providing some services. So this is what the marketplace is all about. Let me just check some of the chat messages. Yeah, I just checked to see whether that was a question aimed at me. So it started as a joint project between the UNODC and the VNGOC, as Mirella has said, and we were involved from the beginning. My company and I, we had the honor really to develop this product on behalf of the VNGOC and the UNODC. Just a bit about the history of the marketplace. Again, as Mirella has said, it started officially in April of 2016, just before UNGAS 2016 in New York. And since then, the marketplace has seen numerous iterations, numerous improvements. But in early August 2020, so that's just about 1.5 months ago, we have deployed a brand new version that has been massively improved. So this is really a great leap for the marketplace. And some of you who are already on the system might have already seen it, might have already even posted some maybe news articles, some events, maybe checked out what it looks like. And you might have noticed that the whole experience of the user has been completely redesigned to fit the modern age, to fit the new decade starting from January. And just a bit of information from our own company. This new version of the marketplace, which launched in August, was developed on a new technology that we've developed in-house called TeamCloud Social. And if you're an organization that might be interested to also provide some kind of service like that, you can find more information at www.teamcloud.at. Drop us a line. We can show you how it works on the inside, internally, how you can use it by yourself. So if you're interested, you can always reach us. For now, let me show you some rather nice statistics. So as Jamie and Mirella have said at the beginning, the marketplace has started in April of 2016, and it's seen many improvements. And those improvements have been reflected in the usage of the system that has grown gradually over the years. So this is a statistic of how many bits of news articles have been posted by various NGOs throughout the world. Over the months since January 2018, we are unable to provide statistics earlier than that based on the logs that we are running, but this should give you a good impression of how the project has been improving and how successful it has been. As you can see, here is a trend line running right across, and it has been steadily rising and rising. Now, usually the months of August, I'm talking about August because we launched the new system just in August last month. Usually the Augusts are rather slow in usage. They are rather quiet summer months. People tend to be on vacation there, and there is rarely a lot of activity there. But in fact, since starting the new system last August, just last month, was our second most active month overall. So it seems like the new version has been received quite well by our user base, and it seems like usage has spiked quite dramatically, even in a calm and quiet vacation month as August. So this is really a very encouraging sign. And some of that is also visible in the registrations. So we are on track to become, for 2020, to become the most successful year in terms of how many organizations register on the marketplace. We now have, I think, just over 330 overall. And this year we already saw almost 90 new organizations registering there. And this is especially significant since you would think that new organizations signing up would be a kind of depleting resource over time, because it just the marketplace is saturated, and every organization that actually works in that field is slowly coming on, and there are no new organizations still waiting to get on the marketplace. But we are in fact almost at the most successful year. The most successful year was 2016, where we registered 95 new organizations. That was also, of course, the launch of the marketplace, and it's just about the middle of September, and we just have 6 signups left to become the most successful year overall. So I think we can absolutely reach it. I'm sure we can find among the audience of today's webinar at least 6 organizations that have not yet joined the marketplace, and we would, of course, encourage you very warmly to do it. And here's a very interesting statistic on the right side. You can see that even in terms of registering, August is quite a kind of slow summer month with most people on vacation. But even here, we saw a massive just spike in terms of an order of magnitude more this August of 2020 compared to the August last year and the year before that. So I'm especially pleased about this because we think that, as my company who are developing it, we think that with this year, with the new release, the marketplace has become a very, very beautiful system. And this makes me very excited to show it to you. So I will now go over to our live demonstration. For that, I need to stop sharing my current screen and switch to a different one. So if you can just give me a second. That should be the right one. So in a couple of seconds, you should be able to see the marketplace. And maybe if you follow the link, you've also seen it yourself on your own laptops or maybe on your smartphones. Again, if you're if you really want to look at it the way it's right now, you can go to mp.vngoc.org. I've just pulled up the address over here. So if you want to just see what it looks like right now, you can go there. So let me give you a quick kind of crash course in what it's all about and how to use it. Essentially, we've designed the marketplace to be kind of a mixture between a social platform like Facebook, like Twitter, and a tool specifically for NGOs working in drug-related fields, in fields of, for example, prevention or harm reduction or advocacy or whatever else. You can see that just as on a website like Twitter, just on a website like Facebook, we have in the central area just a huge feed of various articles that various NGOs are posting day by day. So you can see a lot of stuff there. We can also see when new organizations have joined the platform. That's one of those articles. And you can see just months and years of different contents being posted by different organizations from all around the world. We do have, in fact, if we scroll up, you can see on the right side, we have already 323 NGOs present on the system. So that's quite a lot. If you scroll further down, you can see even a couple of events which are coming up. So here we have on the 4th of November, an event by the European Harm Reduction Network. And here we have the webinar. In fact, that's just the event that's going on right now. So let me give you a short introduction on how to find different kinds of things on the marketplace and even what you can find at all. So as I've told you, in the central section, you have just a regular news feed where organizations, just like your own organization, can post updates of what is happening on the ground, of what kind of work they're doing, the challenges you're facing, maybe something that you've learned, some kind of insight that you've had that you might think might be relevant to other organizations as well. And this is, of course, what is shown when you activate this option here called posts. So these are just new posts, but you can also switch around to different kinds of things. You can also look at different events. And if you click on the events option over here, you can see here in the corner a calendar popping up. You can see here different calendar items already. So if you click on them, you can find more information about them. That's the webinar we are currently in at the moment. And if you scroll down, you can see all of these different events in a kind of feed, starting from the very latest events and then gradually moving down and down to older and older events. So you can see this is really just like Facebook, just like Twitter. It can be used in the same way. It's very easy for people to figure out how to use it. So even if you're not very comfortable around modern technology, or even if you haven't been on such platforms a lot, I'm sure that within minutes you can find your place on the marketplace, and you can see that it's really quite easy to look at all that. Then we have, next to events, we have NGOs, which is just a list of all the different NGOs which are present on the marketplace. We also have a map here, by the way. If you click on show larger, you can view the map in a bigger on a bigger screen. Of course, it's based on Google Maps, so we take no kind of responsibility for the designations here. This is just a Google Maps view, but over here you can see all the different NGOs which have been registered on the marketplace all around the world. So here I'm in Europe, but there's also plenty of activity in pretty much every single area, whether you're in Asia or in Africa or in the Americas, in Oceania. There's all different NGOs all around the world. And of course, it would be great if we could have your NGO also present on it. So looking at NGOs over here, we can take a look at all the different NGOs in a just huge list, but you might think, well, this is a very cumbersome way to look at it. We have, after all, hundreds of NGOs already on the platform, but there are in fact, many different ways of looking at this. So you can take a look at this in a kind of list view, which is more compact. So now you can see all these different NGOs appearing as a list of items. They can also be shown alphabetically. So if you really just want to look at them from A to Z, starting at A, you can look at them like this as well. And we can also show them as a grid, and that might be even more compact. So now you can show even more items on the screen at the same time. So I would like to draw your attention now to the left side of the screen, which is our filter bar, because you might think that, well, it might be a bit difficult to figure out which NGO in this huge grid of organizations maybe is working in specific areas, maybe is working in specific countries in which you are involved as your own organization. Let me draw your attention to this dark area, this column on the left side, which is the filter bar, through which you can explore the marketplace in all its different dimensions. So starting, of course, by place. So if you click on by place, you can look down below, you can see all these different countries and continents. That's all alphabetic. So we start with Africa, then Asia, Europe, North America, Oceania, and South America. And next to each of these countries, you can see how many people are registered for this country at the moment. We can see, for example, that in Asia, if we click on the Asia label over here, we have currently 86 NGOs present. And that basically filters down the view at the center. So now you're seeing just the NGOs in Asia. You can also look at just events that have been registered in Asia. So here, for example, you have the 5th National Youth Forum already in February of this year in New Delhi in India. And of course, you can also see the different posts coming in from NGOs in Asia. So no matter what kind of option you choose on the left side in the dark area, you will also see the right side automatically refreshing and showing you precisely content from, for example, Asia, as in the example I just gave you. So I will now turn this filter off. I will take a look at all of the NGOs, and I will show you a different filter here. So if you click on service provided, that shows you a couple of service categories which we have in the marketplace. So anything from advocacy to treatment, you can see it here. Also, next to each category of service, you can see how many NGOs on the marketplace are, in this case, for example, providing criminal justice services, harm reduction services, and so on. And if you want to figure out which NGOs these are, it's really as easy as clicking on this label over here. And on the left side, on the right side, rather, you see content from all NGOs on the marketplace providing harm reduction services. So if you want to see which organizations these are, just click on NGOs, and there you can see it. Now we see 91 NGOs providing harm reduction services. And we can also see, for example, people who are associated with NGOs that provide harm reduction services. So it's all very intelligent. As soon as you choose a filter on the left side, the right areas automatically update. We also have projects, for example, here. These are currently running projects related to harm reduction. And then we have project updates. So that's the last item here. I will tell you a bit about projects later on. It's a very interesting and powerful way of showing other organizations what you are doing day by day and what kind of initiatives or activities you're involved in. So by clearing the filter over here, let me show you something else. We also have services required. So here you can filter down NGOs by the service category that they require. You can, for example, find other NGOs requiring human rights related services. You can then plot them on a map. You can check out each NGO's details, contact details. It's very easy to work with that. We also have a category here called contribution towards. So here we have things like UN declarations, like UNGAS chapters. For example, right at the top, you have the 2019 ministerial declaration on strengthening our actions at the national, regional, and international levels to accelerate the implementation of our joint commitments to address and counter world drug problems. So if you're an NGO on the marketplace, you can select which of these different declarations and UNGAS chapters you're committed to contributing towards as an organization. And that's just one of the ways in which other organizations can find you on the marketplace and figure out what your activities are, what your kind of focus is, what your area of involvement is. And finally, we have here trending topics. So these are the different hashtags which have been used throughout the posts on the marketplace. So if we go back to posts, we can, for example, find all the news articles that have been posted by different organizations that relate to COVID-19. We can see that you can use hashtags throughout your news articles just as you would use them on Twitter or on Facebook or on YouTube or on any other of these large social media sites. It's really quite easy. It basically works just like a Twitter account. You make your profile, you tell us about what your area of involvement is, where you're headquartered at, what services you provide or require, and then you can post daily articles, you can let others know about what you're doing. And as you can see, it's become over these last 4 years quite an elegant system. It has really grown quite a bit in its user base. We are now getting new articles day by day, and it would be really fantastic to have your input also on the platform. Just register for an account. I will show you in 5 minutes how that works. Just let us know what your organization stands for, what it's working towards, and just let us know every day kind of what the challenges are, what you're looking for maybe in terms of cooperations, and let the marketplace facilitate that kind of cooperation. Find new organizations with which to cooperate, just get connected to others which share your objectives or which require your services or which provide services that you require yourself. So now that I've shown you basically an introduction into how to use the front page of the marketplace, I would now like to show you how you can present yourself as your organization in front of other users of the marketplace. So I will now switch back to kind of activity-based mode because we have a couple of profiles which have a lot of content on them, and it would be nice to show them to you as well. So for example, here on the right side, we have a couple of NGOs represented by these squares. We have the Asabe Sheyu Yar Adua Foundation. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. We have an organization called Greg Chip from Australia. We have Students for Sensible Drug Policy. I know since I've prepared this presentation that this profile is quite complete. We have a lot of information there, so we can just click on it, just as we would click on a person on a personal profile on Facebook or maybe on a Twitter profile. We can just click on it and we can check out what this organization is all about. We can see on the left side a summary of what they stand for. So these are the Students for Sensible Drug Policy. They are located in Washington, D.C. in the US, and they are an organization, an international grassroots network of students who are concerned about the impact of drug misuse on our communities, and so on. So you can see, you can get your mission statement across very quickly. You can also show, as you can see here, what kind of services your organization is providing and what kind of services your organization is requiring. So this is split into these very basic service categories by which you can easily be localizable for other organizations. Also, a section of how you can be reached, anything from an address to email addresses to telephone numbers, websites, social media accounts. It's really rather quick to set up. And finally, the team. So in this case, the Students for Sensible Drug Policy have 2 members on the marketplace that represent them. It's Orshi Feher and Sarah Velimirovic. I hope I'm getting that correctly. So that's just to show you that on the marketplace, your organization can have a profile, and you can also have any number of profiles for all of your staff members that should have access to it, that should be able to post on behalf of your organization, upload contents. So maybe if you have a couple of interns running social media accounts, as many organizations do, you can create very easily accounts for them, and they can then update the marketplace in terms of the news of what's happening on the ground. So in the central area, of course, you have all the different news articles being posted by members of the Students for Sensible Drug Policy. You can just see from top to bottom what's been posted throughout this year and the previous years. On the right side, you can see a map of where they're located. And here's something very interesting. Hold on, I've just received a message in the chat. Maybe there's a question there. All right, so that's just a bit of thank you. So on the right side, you will see something very interesting that I would like to draw your attention to. You can see, if you scroll a bit further down, a section here called Matching NGOs. Now, this is a very cool and powerful feature of the marketplace that I think you would be very interested in using yourself. If you look at a profile, like at the moment we're looking at this profile of the Students for Sensible Drug Policy, in the section Matching NGOs, you will automatically find other NGOs on the marketplace that match the requirements or provisions of the NGO you're looking at. So you can see that, for example, this Asabe Sheyu Yar Adua Foundation is also active in the US, and it happens to provide prevention, alternative development, research, and other types of services. And it just so happens that these kind of services are required by the Students for Sensible Drug Policy, just as it requires services on harm reduction, advocacy, other, and criminal justice. And these services are provided by the Students for Sensible Drug Policy. So you can see the marketplace automatically matches other NGOs in the same geographical region that are able to provide services that you require yourself, or indeed require services that you provide yourself. So it really goes both ways. And you're automatically able to look at this list and figure out, well, what other NGOs are in the same region that might be able to cooperate with us, that might be able to provide something that we would like to require, or maybe require something that we are providing ourselves. So it's really just a list of matching NGOs, and you can even go up here and change the context of the search. So you can go directly to Washington, DC. That would be a bit restrictive, but you can see, as it happens, since that is the capital of the US, you will find two other NGOs that are also active there who might be interested in cooperating with you. Or you can switch the scope of the search to North America to get a bird's eye view of how of what other NGOs are also matchable with yours in all of the United States. Or indeed, you can look everywhere. So this basically matches against the whole database of all NGOs throughout all the world, also by the services that they provide or by the services that they require. And finally, we have an element here called projects, which I would love to show you. So for example, the Students for Sensible Drug Policy are running a project right now called Support Don't Punish. You can create projects on the marketplace just to indicate kind of what you're currently working on. You can change projects, the status of the project. You can indicate when you've created it, when it's in progress, and when you've finished with it. And during that process, you can upload news articles, you can upload photos, attachments, hashtags, just to let other users know of what's going on with your projects of your NGO. So while I'm logged into the VNGOC account, let me just show you how easy it is to post content. You might be thinking, well, this might take half an hour every day just to let others know what's happening, but in fact, it's a very, very easy thing to do. You just open the marketplace, you look at this area over here, you want to compose a new post, you click on the post button here, and you can write something in the box. So I will write, for example, hey there, this is my first time using the marketplace. Place. You can even use hashtags, so I can use a hash just like that, just like on Twitter, just like on Facebook, just to correlate different topics to my different posts. Now scrolling down, I can upload attachments if I want, and then basically I just hit submit. Now I will do that in the full knowledge that Sarah, who's moderating some of the posts, will reject it in a matter of minutes probably. I'll just click the compose button, and you can see that I've added a post to my timeline, just like on Twitter, just like on Facebook. But the marketplace is constructed in such a way that each post needs to be moderated by the marketplace team, which is sometimes Sarah Pirker, who's also listening to us right now. And as soon as Sarah has given this post her green light, it will appear for all other users as well. Now, if you want to post events, it's just as easy. Just click on the event button, just specify the title of your event, just let us know the date when it takes place. So for example, from the 1st to the 3rd. Time is from the 10th in the morning until 6 p.m. in the afternoon. So that's kind of the interval of time when the event takes place. You can specify also the address, it's optional, also some optional data like email, websites, social media links, and of course, the description of the event. So this would be, I would call it the Marketplace Webinar. Then in the description, I can also click here, I would put in this webinar is for the benefit of all other hash members. So just as easy as that, I can upload my attachments and then I can hit submit to send the event on its way. So it's really as easy as this. And as soon as your event is posted, it becomes part of the Marketplace calendar. And other users will be able to register their interest to it. They will be even notified if they register that they're interested in the event. They will even be notified by email that the event is coming up. So this is a very nice way to spread the news around that you're hosting some kind of interesting event related to drugs, to drug-related issues. Then you can easily post a project. So you can see the VNGOC has 2 projects already on the list. So it has this Develop NGO Training and Professional Development Strategy and webinar on the World Drug Report 2020. So both of these projects are in the system, but we can quickly add a new one. For example, this is the project NGO Marketplace. We can describe it over here. We can add some attachments, maybe some photos, some PDFs, and send it on its way. And that's as easy as it is to create a project. And then when you want to update the project, when you already have it here in the list, just click on Status Update, pick the project you want to update, assign a status to it, maybe it's in progress, and just post a status update message over here. Upload some attachments, click Submit, and send it on its way. So it's very, very easy to do it, as I hope I could convince you. It takes no time at all, to maybe half a minute every day to write up a quick paragraph about what challenges you're facing or what kind of exciting project you're working on. Just spread the message around, let others know what you're working on, create an event, create a project, make a news post. It's really as easy as a minute of time every single day. And you can even give it to an intern perhaps, and of course, being quite young, they specialize in these social media things, so they'll be able to do something nice with it in absolutely no time. So now that I've spoken a lot about what you can get out of the marketplace, I would like to raise some other very interesting points that you might not be aware of, especially some points that are only possible since last month's update. So this is very new indeed. You will find next to each NGO on the marketplace, you will find these text boxes. Oh, by the way, you can see Sarah has already rejected my post. So it's great that this is going on live as it is. You can see next to each NGO these little chat boxes. And you might be wondering, well, what is that all about? Well, it's very, very easy, because integrated into the marketplace is a complete messenger, which is kind of like WhatsApp. For example, if I click on the chat box of the Esabe Shehu Yar Adua Foundation, I click on this one over here, I'm pulling up basically a WhatsApp window where I can instantly write a message to this organization. Of course, I will not do it right now because I wouldn't want them to be confused that they've received some strange message from a webinar. But in principle, you can. It's basically like a WhatsApp integrated into the marketplace, where you can send NGOs messages. You can discuss certain things with them in private. You can ask them questions in private, maybe about collaborations or partnerships, and so on. Now let me slowly. I need to look at the chat because there's been some message in here. It's just some people joining the webinar. All right. So what else is possible? Well, this might surprise you. This is something I really, really like. There's a translate button at the very top. If you click on translate, you can in fact translate the whole marketplace automatically to a different language. Now, of course, you have to realize that this is done automatically by Google Translate, so it has certain limitations. But in principle, if we wanted to show the marketplace in, well, for example, I have no idea how to choose. I'm being very careful here. Well, let's choose Croatian, for example. It just takes a moment, and the whole marketplace is basically now translated to Croatian. It just maybe except for the images themselves, which are kind of baked into the system. But you can see everything, even the posts themselves, now appear in Croatian. Of course, it will be automatically translated Croatian, so there's no guarantee that there aren't some strange aspects to this translation there. But certainly, if you're if you prefer to read many of these contents in your own language, you will find it here. So let me just get back to English so that I can proceed with the presentation. All right, so that basically covers what's possible on the marketplace. Let me show you now how easy it is to create a new account, because that's maybe the final interesting point if you haven't created an account already. For that, I will log off from my VNGOC account over here, because of course here they already have it. So let's go back to the start of the marketplace. And let's assume that we are fresh users. We've just visited the page for the first time. Well, then just go to the top right corner, click on sign up. It's very easy to do that. And when you're signing up for the marketplace, you are asked a couple of very basic questions about your organization. I will scroll down. You can create, by the way, either a profile for your organization or for a single person. If you want to create a profile for maybe an employee, if you already have a profile on the marketplace, you can create a person profile. But if your NGO is not yet represented there, you can create a brand new one over here. So all that we need to specify is an email address. So I'll just use mine over here. It automatically generates a password for us. We can also enter one ourselves if we so choose. I can say that this is my new organization. So it's just a name. I can say that I'm headquartered in Austria, and I'm providing maybe harm reduction services, and I'm requiring perhaps advocacy services. So it's as easy as that. If you agree to the privacy policy and if you hit create profile, you will be immediately placed on the marketplace. Of course, the team of the marketplace has to evaluate your submission, and it might take them several hours to certify that this is a valid submission, but from that point on, you are officially part of the marketplace. And it's as easy as that. It takes no time at all, maybe 2 or 3 minutes at most, to become part of our platform.
Peter, just to say, yeah. Is it okay if we just have 2 or 3 more minutes as well, so then we can go to some questions?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I'm already pretty much done with the presentation. I would just like to show you something quite useful. If you're getting used to the marketplace, if you're a new user, we have spent quite some time developing, or rather producing, a training video. It's about 15 minutes long, and it should introduce you to all the different aspects of the marketplace, how to register, how to create news articles, how to create events, how to look for other organizations, how to find them, how to match them. It's quite a comprehensive video, and it can be very easily reached if you just click on the menu in the top left corner on the marketplace logo. Just click on training video.
Welcome to the NGO Marketplace
and it takes you
video.
Oh, sorry, that's a bit loud. And it takes you to YouTube, where we have this video online. You can even use the chapter marks down here to jump precisely to the question that you want to ask. For example, how to post projects. I'm clicking on this over here, and it immediately jumps to the right section.
Posting projects.
So with that in mind, it would be really great, again, summarizing, it would be really great to have your organization on the marketplace, to become part of this growing community of organizations that are using this very, very nice platform to exchange ideas, to inform each other about what's going on in their respective areas of involvement. The marketplace has come of age, so I'm very happy to say it as a person who was central to the development of it. We are extremely pleased with how it turned out, and this is the right moment for you to get active on it and to really show other NGOs how great and how valuable the work is that you're doing. So with that, I'm now giving the floor back to Jamie. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation, and I'm open to any questions that you might have.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Peter, for running through this. And it's been amazing to watch this platform evolve over the years. And this new version just is fantastic. Like the functionality, the different tools and the different functions that Peter's laid out for us today. We are really confident that this is a platform that can add some real value to the work that you do as NGOs, while also helping us to present to member states and to the UNODC and to all the other policymakers to really show them the diversity and the breadth of the work that civil society is doing around the world. So thanks again, Peter. There's been a lot of very interesting comments in the chat box. So thank you very much for those comments. Some of them, such as some colleagues in Bangladesh, they're not directly related to the marketplace as such. So I think there's a few that we're going to respond to offline and off the webinar. But in relation to the webinar itself, I just want to read one out, which is from the Teams Academy. They're saying that they have a system they think can be integrated with the marketplace platform to facilitate collaboration and communication amongst the stakeholders. They think it will be a valuable add-on and extension of the marketplace platform. So I don't know, Peter, if you're able to respond to that suggestion about potential add-ons or suggestions from NGOs. The other comments we had were related to how do we engage, but I think they came at the very early stage of your presentation, Peter. So I'm confident that you will have answered that already in what you've just laid out for us. So I don't know if you want to respond to that point about the add-ons quickly, and then we can see if any other questions come in.
Yes, Jamie, in principle, we are quite open and, of course, enthusiastic about bringing different aspects into the marketplace. I would have to look at what this platform provides and how, of course, it would be able to be integrated into what we are providing with the marketplace. I would have to look at it, of course. There's no way to make a spontaneous judgment about that. But in principle, we're absolutely open to such new ideas.
Thank you, Peter. So again, that's something that, our contact details will be available at the end of this webinar. So, that's something to colleagues from the Teams Academy, that's something to follow up on. And we look forward to discussing that with you. There's lots of comments, acknowledging the platform and saying thank you for the presentation, which is great. One interesting question was about an evaluation of the activity on the marketplace since 2016. Now, I know, Peter, you presented some of those statistics at the beginning of your presentation to show that the activity level has gone up. Is that something we're going to be monitoring on an ongoing basis?
Yes, Jamie. In fact, now since the new marketplace started, we have better ways of measuring all these different metrics. So hopefully we will see this curve going steadily up and up and up as new organizations come in and as activity multiplies. But we are now able to run very precise statistics about what happens every day, every week, every month, every year, and so on. Fantastic.
Okay. And I see as well, we have a couple of colleagues that have hands up, their participants, attendees that have their hands up. Sarah, are we able to provide them with access so they can maybe ask their question directly? So the first one is Penny Bassi, who has their hand up. I don't know if it's possible to unmute them. It would seem not. Okay. What? Oh, hello.
Hello. Yes. The question is, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes. Please go ahead.
How can the NGO Marketplace help organizations with fundraising, support, or donations for their ongoing or proposed projects?
Thank you very much. That's a great question. Peter, do you want to answer about some of those opportunities?
I hope I understood it correctly, that the question was about how it's possible to represent project on the marketplace. Was that the question, or?
It was more about how can we use the marketplace, or how can NGOs use the marketplace to support their own fundraising. So it is about how they present their project.
I can answer also this one in case.
Okay, over to you, Mirella, and then Peter can pick up from there. So over to you, Mirella.
Yes, no, I think this is a very good question, an important question, and as I was, at the very beginning when we were thinking about what would be the added value of the marketplace to NGOs and to member states. Well, the point is really by encouraging member states to also have a look. You can definitely, by presenting your work and presenting also possibility of joint training with other NGOs or joint exchange, you can definitely attract the attention of potential donor. And I think in the future we may do some session really targeting this more with a focus, but already by being on the marketplace, I would say you are being given visibility if you present well your work, and if you can attract interest and potential funding. I would put it this way. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I would absolutely maybe just add to that the marketplace can certainly help you get visibility. So insofar as it will grow in usage, and we really are confident that this will happen, insofar as other NGOs will use it as a tool to follow what everybody else is doing, this would make it a great place to just show, for example, that you need funding to do some kind of project, that you would like to raise some capital to take care of some issue that's important to you. So it's really a tool to gain exposure, and we now really are confident that this will allow you for these kinds of possibilities.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mirella and Peter, and I hope that answers that question well. In the chat, you can also see the contact details if you have any follow-up questions. And as I said, at the end of the webinar, those will be our contact details will be available as well. So without further ado, I'd really like to move on to the next stage of the webinar and the next thing that we wanted to talk about, which was the civil society speaking opportunities at the CND. So without any delay, I'd like to hand the floor over to Matej Koshir, who is the Deputy Chair of the VNGO Committee, and I'm really pleased that he's joined us on this webinar today. In way of introduction, Matej is the Director for UTRIP in Slovenia, has been working for decades in the area of drug prevention and public health, and joined the NGC board in March. So Matej, please, and we look forward to you.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I will try to share my screen first. Do you see anything on the screen?
It looks great to me, Matej.
Okay, good. Then everybody else also see this. Okay, great. I will speak about shortly about upcoming CND events, meetings, and how civil society organizations and representatives of civil society organizations can engage in those activities in those meetings. So, as you all probably already know, Vienna NGO Committee was established in 1983 as a formal link between NGOs and the key UN agencies involved in drug policy, which means UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs, the International Narcotics Control Board, the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, and some other institutions as well. We work alongside these agencies, but also other NGO committees, such as committees on a range of topics in Vienna and our sister committee on drugs in New York, which is called New York NGO Committee. We ensure that these meetings remain accessible to civil society, both for our members, but also for all other NGOs. So it doesn't matter if you are a member of Vienna NGO committee. This includes producing annual guides to the CNV, organizing open question and answer sessions between NGOs and the heads of the key UN agencies, communicating any news and developments, hosting the NGO Marketplace that has been just presented, and issuing calls for speakers for UN meetings. It is the latter that we will focus on today. The board is selected by our paying members at the meeting held at the main CND meeting each year, or is it in March or April? So next, what is actually CND? Officially, it is just 53 member states in CND, but in reality, every member state can participate. NGOs can participate as observers, especially those who have consultative status with ECOSOC. Those who are not familiar with ECOSOC, ECOSOC means the UN Economic and Social Council, dealing with all economic and social issues. The main CND meeting is in March or April, as I already said, usually for a week. They then meet throughout the year in smaller meetings. NGOs can attend all of the formal meetings on the agenda. There are also some informal meetings held by governments, which NGOs usually cannot attend. At CND meetings, the member states present their positions, negotiate and adopt resolutions on the direction of global drug control, and vote on proposals to change how substances are scheduled following recommendations from the World Health Organization. Here on this slide, you can see the activities of Vienna NGO Committee in last year, in 2019, including Vienna Civil Society hearing, ministerial segment and CND last year, also INCB Civil Society hearing, Vienna NGO Committee consultation, and CND thematic intersessional. So we have received almost 300 applications, selected 53 speakers. Among those, 28 were funded by Vienna NGO Committee to attend the meetings. So you can also see on the slide that speaker selections are gender balanced, also relatively well balanced by regions, and 68% of speakers spoke in person at the meetings. So quite impressive numbers for the last year. I think this year it will be a little bit different because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but still we are trying to involve NGOs as much as possible in all those activities in Vienna. Regarding thematic intersessionals, there is a multi-year work plan. Full review of progress will be discussed at the CND in 2029. And the topics since 2019 until 2023 are as follows. 2019 the topic was supply reduction focus. This year, health focus. Next year, it will be crime. 2020, human rights focus, and 2023, comprehensive stock talking of overall progress. For the upcoming CND meetings, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, the CND Secretariat have been working hard to continue discussions and fulfill their work plan. Most meetings have been shifted online, like this one on NGO Marketplace, held via Microsoft Teams platform. But most of the spaces for civil society have been kept open. Last year, after a long review, the World Health Organization made a series of recommendations to the CND to reschedule cannabis and cannabis-related substances. This has been debated at various CND meetings since then, including this year. And there will be another intersessional meeting in a few weeks at which NGOs can apply to speak. So you're more than welcome to apply also with your abstracts. This will be a hybrid in-person and online event. Then later in October, there will be a thematic intersessional meeting. This is the latest in a series of meetings as part of CND work plan agreed in 2019. The same year, member states adopted a ministerial declaration, which included a paragraph on the remaining challenges they face. These thematic intersessionals then tackle each of these topics in turn, and 2020, this includes drug treatment, harm reduction, new psychoactive substances, and access to essential medicines, as you can see on the slide. As reconvening meeting in December, the vote on the cannabis rescheduling recommendations is due to take place, as I said, in December. In 2021 session is then expected to be a bit later than usual, in April rather than March, to leave space for the rescheduled UN Crime Congress in Kyoto, Japan in March next year. So, Vienna NGO Committee, and also together with New York NGO Committee, created a set of guidelines for selecting speakers, which are available on our website as well. So you can go to our website and check for details. It's a rather difficult process, I can say as well, even if I'm very new member of the committee. There is often too many very good abstracts for the spaces available and tough decision to make. Here are some criteria that we have agreed to consider. The goal is to secure the broadest, most comprehensive and balanced participation of civil society. We have to try and achieve balance in terms of gender, regions, themes, and also ages. Of course, it's not always possible to achieve complete balance, but our commitment is always to strive for this criteria and balance. Okay, so I will just give you some good hints how to submit a good abstract. First, read the call for speakers carefully. What is the topic? What is the opportunity? Does it match your own work? Because in many cases, some priorities or abstracts are completely different to the topic of the meeting. So this is really important hint. Read the call carefully. The second, complete all sections of the form carefully. Name, email, age, because only on the basis of this information we can know who will actually be a speaker and how we can contact speakers or organizations which apply. Present yourself clearly. Mention your experience, expertise relevant to the call. This is also extremely important. The abstract itself is just 150 words. So be clear, concise, relevant to the team. Try and outline what member states stand to learn from your specific intervention. Here you can also find some do's and don'ts regarding submitting a good abstract, but you will be able to read this in details because PowerPoint presentation will be available on our website as well. So let's continue. How you can actually engage with those meetings and as a representative of NGO. So the question is very important for you as well. As mentioned before, CND is central UN body concerned with the drug policy, and it makes decisions every year which impact upon policies and approaches at the national, regional, and international level. Member states repeatedly tell us how much they appreciate and need the representation of civil society. We bring the voices from the ground. from the people who work with target groups, real-life experiences of the world drug situation, and important evidence and examples of programs that change and save people's lives. At the same time, civil society has an important role in evaluating and also critiquing governments, done in a diplomatic way, of course. So being critical is also an important role of NGOs in general. Speaking at UN meeting is also a great moment of exposure and promotion of your NGO. Many NGOs record their interventions, share them on social media or YouTube or other channels, and upload to them to their websites. So this is pretty much it. If you have any further questions, we are here available for you to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matej. That was fantastic. And I don't know if it's possible to keep that slide up for a little bit longer, that last one, just with the contact details. But if not, we will be.
I will.
Thank you, Matej. We will be uploading the presentations online, as we always do. So, yeah, you've got all the information available. We do now have some time for questions and answers. I haven't yet seen any in the chat section, and I can't see any hands raised. So, you know, you have a few moments now if you do want to ask any questions. I just wanted to echo everything that Matej said. And submitting an abstract can be tough. You know, it's sometimes difficult, especially in just 150 words, to really capture the point that you're trying to make. But we really would urge you to think about the abstracts. Don't just leave it until the last moment. We always, no matter when the deadline is, most people wait until 3 hours before the deadline before they submit. Take your time, write something, ask other people to read it, ask other people to look at your abstract. Does it make sense to them? Is it clear? Is it relevant to the topic that we're going to be discussing? So, for example, one of the calls that we have open at the moment is for the CND intersessional related to the WHO recommendations on cannabis rescheduling. There's going to be a lot of demand to speak, and we only have 5 slots for NGOs to speak. So in order to be selected, your abstract has to be relevant to those recommendations. It has to be relevant to the topic that the governments will be discussing. So if we receive an abstract that's just generally about drug treatment or just generally about policies, that's not going to be accepted, because we need NGOs who are speaking specifically to the topic of the day. And the same goes for all of these opportunities to speak. But the VNGOC and the UNODC civil society team, we're working really hard to secure these opportunities. And I do really urge you to make the most of them. So just a quick question from Teams Academy, and Matej, I think I can probably answer this one, but would the in-person presentation be in Vienna? Yes, the meeting itself will be in Vienna. That's where all CND meetings take place. As Matej said, this particular meeting will be a hybrid. It will be partly in person for those who can get to Vienna, and we appreciate that it's difficult to travel right now. But there will also be the option to participate online. You can do your presentation from Microsoft Teams, just like we're doing today, or you can prepare a video in advance and submit a video in advance. So if you cannot get to Vienna, if you cannot travel to Vienna because of travel restrictions or finances or any other reason, these opportunities are still available. And I personally think very few NGOs will actually be presenting in person in Vienna, because even within Europe at the moment, travel is a big challenge. So, you know, I think this time round, I think there will be most of the presentations will actually be made by video or through Microsoft Teams. So if you can't get to Vienna in Austria, please don't let that put you off from submitting an abstract, because there is still an opportunity for you to speak. That was the only question that we had. I mean, the other thing I did want to say is Obviously, a lot of our calls for speakers and a lot of our processes are in English. English is the working language of the Vienna NGO committee. But we do appreciate that our members come from all around the world. And for many of our members, including some who have joined this webinar today, English is not your first language, or not a language that you are very comfortable with. What I would say is that on our forms, on the Google forms that we use, Google allows for translation, and you can submit your abstract in another language. We will then Google translate it back into English in order to make an assessment. Google Translate is not perfect, and I'm not for a second claiming that it is perfect, but it has improved dramatically in recent years. And we find that using Google Translate on any abstracts that are in a non-English language does help us to understand, at least to understand what it is you're looking to present about. So again, even if there's a language barrier, I would still encourage you to submit an abstract. And of all those criteria that Matej presented earlier, language is not meant to be one of them. We do want this to be an open opportunity for all of our colleagues, not just NGOs that speak English. So I'll just hand over. I don't know, Matej, if you have anything else to add, or Mirella, do you want to say a few final words before we close? Mirella?
I would just like to encourage NGOs to apply for any opportunities, because this is a good opportunity. I can tell you from my own experience. So definitely good for your future, and fundraising as well. So
yeah, sure. It's great. Yeah. It's great for the profile of an NGO to be able to share that you've spoken at the UN forum is great for the profile of your NGO. Mirella,
yes. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Jamie. And as you mentioned, multilingualism, of course, multilingualism, whenever it's an official meeting of the UN, you have the interpretation in the 6th language. And the UN have succeeded also to have it online now through, I will not try to say the system, but it works. Not as much as it would work in person. The interpreters really need to have in advance the text to be able to translate it. But to come back also to the marketplace, it is designed to be multilingual. We use, it's true in many cases, the Google, but in some cases, for instance, for the Russian, we have it proofread by our translators. And we are hoping the video that Peter has started or has mentioned to you, it will be translated at least in 3 more languages, I would say. So yeah, keep with us, and we will work on this also. Thank you.
Unmute yourself, Jamie.
Yeah.
Sorry. It just leaves me to say thank you very much, everyone, for participating and for listening to us on this webinar. I really hope it's been useful. I hope it's given you a bit of inspiration. What we're asking you as NGOs is to engage in these UN debates. They are important for all of our work. And to register for the marketplace, please use that platform. It's been designed to help you and to help your NGO. So please do register and use it. And we've also shared a link in the chat for a feedback survey about this webinar. We do really appreciate your feedback. It helps us to make sure that we do things as best as we can, both as Vienna NGO committee, but also UNODC civil society team. So please do fill that in. It's totally anonymous as well. And if you have any other questions, please get in touch with us via the VNGOC channels. We're here to help out. We want to assist you in any way we can. And we look forward to hearing from some of you when you get to speak at the CND at the meetings next month. So we wish you all the best for your submission, and we look forward to receiving it. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mirella. Thank you very much, Matej. Thank you, Peter. I don't think he's online anymore, but thank you for his presentation. And also, as always, thank you, Sarah, for all your coordination behind the scenes for this webinar. And we look forward to speaking with you all soon. Thank you.